What would you do if after years of confident muscle testing, it suddenly stopped working for you and you weren't getting any reliable answers? This is what happened to me, but what was going on was different from what I thought. So last time we looked at some issues that might come up when people are learning muscle testing. This time we're looking at something that could happen after you've been muscle testing for quite a long time. And it's what happened to me, which is that suddenly my muscle testing stopped working. There was no consistency, no certainty and confidence in the answers I was getting. And this was really worrying. My first reaction was to panic and wonder what was going on. I actually took sessions from other practitioners, but nothing changed. And I reluctantly came to the conclusion I'm going to have to close down Heartful Healing. I can't keep it going. I can't keep offering healing sessions to people when I'm not getting certainty in my answers. It's almost fraudulent. So I was on the verge of closing down Heartful Healing, but two things stopped me. The first was that the results that clients were getting was just as strong as it always had been, and actually probably a little better. So even though I wasn't getting the certainty in the muscle testing, this wasn't affecting the potency of the sessions, which I thought was interesting. And then something else happened, which I observed, which is that although the certainty wasn't there from the muscle testing, although the clarity of the answers wasn't coming through, whether my fingers sort of stay together or not, it was still coming. It was still there, and I didn't actually appreciate that it was there at the beginning. I was just focused on, the fact that the muscle testing wasn't working in the same way as before. But I was still having certainty about what the answers were. So if, for example, there were 5 items in a list and I needed to sort of check each of them, and the muscle testing wasn't giving me certainty of answer, I actually still knew what the answer was. I still had that inner sense of what the correct answer was. And this was later, when my muscle testing sort of returned, when it's sort of the reliability of it returned. This was borne out by the muscle testing when I tested the two against each other. And Dr. Brad Nelson often talks about muscle testing as being a training ground for the intuition, and how after a long time of muscle testing, intuition ideally will take over. And I think we're all a long way away from that, but we may be going through steps along the way which might look as if things are falling away or we're losing our abilities, and it's actually a step forward that's going on. And I spoke to Dr. Brad last year on an interview with Heartful Healing, and he talks about his daughter who doesn't use muscle testing at all. She only purely relies on her intuition.
And my daughter, she learned how to do muscle testing when she was 13. And after about a month of working on her friends and family members, she came to me. She said, "Dad, I don't really need muscle testing because the answers are just there for me." And I thought, oh, that's super annoying. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it is a little bit annoying because we're all so far away from that still. But the little steps along the way that might look initially as if things are falling apart can actually be taking us towards that better situation. And now I use a combination of the muscle testing and the intuition, and I feel it really helps my practice. So I'm sharing this with you now so that if anything like this ever happens to you, you can avoid some of the doubts and anxieties and frustrations that I went through, and think that maybe this is leading you to somewhere better. So I hope this has been helpful. We'll be back again soon, but I will leave you in the meantime with something you might hear at a West End musical.
To improve the way you're feeling, book a session with Heartful Healing. Retrieve and all goes healing. What is I trade to my mind? Track